In this section, we use overlapping triangles, and it says double triangles because we're going to be using one pair of congruent triangles to find a way to prove another pair of triangles congruent in order to show a particular item is congruent. So this is like a double triangle proof in this first one. The second proof on here, depending on what way you do it, you could end up using 3 triangles to prove it. We just did 2 triangles and then used another theorem instead of doing the 3 triangles, but you could go on and on just depending on the complexity of the proof here. You could use more and more triangles. In this particular problem, to show you how I know I'm going to use more than one set of triangles, it says that we're given that AD and BC, or AD and BE bisect each other at C. And so what that's going to give me is it's going to give me that EC and CB are congruent, and also that AC and CD are congruent because of that segment bisector, and that's definition of segment bisector. These are pieces of the top large triangle and the bottom large triangle there, but notice we also have like 2 smaller inner triangles on there. And what I'm trying to prove, GC congruent to FC. So let's find those. GC and FC are here. So I know that I'm going to have to use my given, which is a part of the large triangle, so I'm going to have to go for the large triangles and then use something in the large triangles in order to prove a set of smaller triangles congruent that includes these pink portions. And so what our kind of strategy that we're going to go through here with this proof is to show these large triangles, like I said, congruent. So I'm going to highlight those in yellow. And then you could use either the tiny triangles inside of there or the medium triangles inside of there. We are going to go with the medium-sized triangles in order to do our proof here. Notice that no matter what triangles we're using, we can use vertical angles in the middle portion here. So you're going to see that multiple times in this proof, those vertical angles. And so let's get started. So I'm just going to do one proof in a video for these 2 proofs because these are quite long. So the first thing was that AD and BE bisect each other at C, and that was given, forgive my handwriting, it's not as easy writing it on the computer here. Then I had already marked these pieces D, C, and A, C and E, C and CB, and that was because of the definition of a segment bisector. We've got that vocabulary in the given. You're going to use the definition of that for a reason. Now, like I said, we can use these vertical angles. Again, remember we're going for the yellow triangles, the large triangles there. And so we're using these large vertical angles at this time. So this at angle ECD congruent to angle BCA, vertical angles congruent for our reasoning there. Remember, vertical angles congruent or vertical angles postulate. And now looking at the large yellow triangles, I can see that side angle side is the reason why those are congruent. So side angle side, congruence postulate for why they're congruent. Now here is where you could go different routes depending on which triangles you're using. We're using these teal triangles. So I need to think to myself, what is a piece of the yellow triangle and also a piece of the teal triangle in order to see what to do next? And those pieces that they have in common is this angle up here at D and this angle here at A. And that's what they're using, these angles D and A. And we're using CP, CTC for our reason there because those were corresponding parts of the yellow congruent triangles. So we have corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent for the reason. Now, like I said, the teal have vertical angles in them as well. Oh, and I need 2 arcs there because I've already used the set of 1 arc markings in the middle there. So let's see, let me change colors on my pen here. So these angles here are the vertical pair that are in the teal triangle. And so I'm going to mark that with a little like a line through it so you can kind of tell that it's different than the other ones. So those are our vertical angles that we're talking about right now in line 6. And so vertical angles congruent for the reason for those being congruent. And now you can see we already had this side between here, between D and C, matching with the side from A to C. And we have the angles that are surrounding it. So we have angle, side, angle going on for our reason for why those triangles are congruent. So angle, side, angle, congruence postulate. And now we can say those pink segments, GC and FC, are congruent because they're corresponding parts of congruent triangles, and so they're congruent, and so it's CPCTC for the reason for that one.